What is up, everybody? Welcome to another great live webcast. My name is Chris Weiser here with the amazing Cindy Phillips. How you doing, Cindy?
Hey, I'm here to run the play today, Chris. So I'm like ready to boogie. Let's go.
It is almost baseball
money.
season too. I'm like, we were in Phoenix together a couple weeks ago for our Q1 live event, and I was a little bummed. In fact, I think I'm contemplating next year having it in Phoenix again, but maybe bumping back a little bit so we get to go to some spring training.
We only have to bump back 1 week. I checked it out, Chris. I knew we were hosed from months ago. Because, man, I was checking it out because there are so many teams that do baseball in Phoenix there.
Oh, I love it. I'm from Milwaukee, and the Brewers are there. So I'm a huge Brewers. I was a Brewers season ticket holder for years in Milwaukee because I lived in Wauwatosa, which is where Miller Park, which is now American Family Field, is. So I'm a huge baseball fan, just like you. So
exactly.
One of the things that's pretty cool about what we do at Seven Figure MSP, Cindy's got our baseball. We do so much stuff off of playbooks and practice and running the play and all these different things that we talk about. And the whole concept around it is basically sports-based because Cindy and I are a bunch of sports dorks. So it's kind of fun. Is baseball still your favorite sport?
I would have to say that baseball is not my favorite sport, and I'm going to sound like a total baseball nerd when I tell you why. But way back in the day, they expanded the playoffs, and what they did, it kind of really goes to the heart of even sales. What they did was they made baseball playoffs like hockey. Everybody gets in now. Yeah. Used to be the only two teams that went to the playoff to the playoff games. It was on the basis of your 160 game season. Yep. Right. Yep. So the game in April was as important as the game in August, which was as important as the games in September. They all counted. Well, when they went to the expanded playoff strategy, it was to drive membership. It was to drive viewership, give everybody a chance. Right. Yeah. But the thing was, it diluted the value of the early games. And in sales, man, if you're taking a baseball analogy, every single touch point matters. Every single thing you do matters. And so it's kind of like a long game like baseball used to be. So now I would have to say now my favorite thing to watch in sports, NASCAR.
Really? No kidding? No kidding?
No kidding. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, you know why I love NASCAR? You know why I love watching NASCAR? Because you think they're all the same. This really comes to mindset, Chris. You think that every guy that gets in a car, all the cars are the same. I think Jeff Gordon said once, you put us in a car, we all weigh 3,400 pounds, right? There's a lot of things that are the same, but yet there's so many things that are different, right?
Yeah.
And
I had no idea you were a racing fan. You know that I raced cars, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm like an insane racing fan. I'm such an insane racing fan. I'm going to tell you that the reason I think Chase Elliott kind of had a marginal season was because he broke his leg skiing or snowboarding or whatever he did.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong on that.
And he'd never been hurt before. And he never had to come back from not being on top.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to sales too. Until you had a big deal that you really wanted to win and you lost it, you're a different person after that.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Well, you have to go through the different steps differently. So we're going to talk a lot about all of this stuff that Cindy's referencing today. Not necessarily NASCAR and not necessarily baseball, but we're going to talk about a lot of different things today. Really excited to have you guys here with us. A couple quick things that we got for you guys. First of all, I'm going to go through a couple of housekeeping items. I'm going to share my screen here in a second. But we are broadcasting live here in StreamYard webinar. So if you want to win the prizes, I have multiple prizes that we're going to be giving away live. You have to be registered on the StreamYard webinar platform. You can go to sevenfiguremspevents.com. There's a couple different ways. You can go to strategy.sevenfiguremsp.com. You can go to a couple different places to find that. If you did not see the link, we're also streaming live on, we got 6 other platforms that we're streaming on. So we're in Facebook. We're in a bunch of Facebook groups. We're on LinkedIn. We're live on YouTube. We're on a bunch of different pages. So we got a lot of stuff happening today. So really pumped up about that. Really excited to be here with Cindy. Cindy, any final housekeeping items from you before I get rolling into my content for today?
The only thing is you got to let StreamYard's got to let you know, you got to give StreamYard permission to know who you are so we can see your name on questions.
Yeah. Good call. You'll see that if you're live here with us on the webinar, green light. But if you're on any of the other platforms, you'll see, actually, I think LinkedIn's automatic, but specifically on Facebook, you have to make sure that you authorize StreamYard. You just kind of have to add it into your apps, etc. It's not too hard. There should be something above the post that you're.
And just a perfect example, John Reed, giving you a big shout out, buddy, because you said my favorite 2 words, left turn, and we can see your comments. So,
yeah,
woohoo! So that's working.
Yes, sir. Yeah, here's and I can put that up on the screen. It's kind of why I use StreamYard platform. It works pretty well. So, okay, last couple things. We are live. Here's today's date with my little puppy Jack. Today's date, time, 05 Central Time, Monday, March 4th. Happy to end of first quarter 2024 already. This is crazy. Also, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to get rolling here. So here's this. You're going to hear from me in a few minutes, and then you're going to hear from Cindy as we go here. So I'm just going to get rolling right into my world. And if you need anything, please comment. We're going to ask you guys to participate as today goes on. So please be active on the chat. Please be active on the comments. We'll work with you guys, and we'll get you here up on the screen with us. So, okay, a couple things as we go here. Let me just make sure I'm clicking. I'm good to go. So got a couple things for you guys. Number one, my promise to you, Cindy and I are going to show you how to use what we call the CSRA, the Cybersecurity Risk Assessment. And Cindy, I got to tell you, I'm pretty stoked because like 3-4 years ago, you and I came up with the term CSRA. Now, I know the whole Cybersecurity Risk Assessment isn't a seven-figure, not a seven-figure MSP thing, but the term CSRA definitely is a seven-figure MSP thing. It's almost become kind of an industry standard now. And it's kind of like, it's a damn cool moment for you and me, I think, because we've really, really hit the market with a cybersecurity first sales presence, and I'm stoked about that. So we're going to teach you how to use CSRAs, and Cindy's going to talk more about this than I am. I'm going to kind of talk about the why you need to do it, and then Cindy's going to get into the guts today. If you're an existing MSP or if you're an MSP just starting out, that's really important. You need to have this as part of your deal. We're going to show you how every step of the way on how to add hundreds of dollars per seat. Had a guy come into our elite program this morning, Cindy, on our onboarding call this morning, has like 2,000 plus seats. His average seat price was $77 a seat. Big MSP in Florida. Big MSP. You're gonna meet him tomorrow, and he's awesome. I'm really, really excited about that. But we're gonna show you, just like we're showing the guys internal, how to double, triple, quadruple that amount that they're charging if you're an existing managed service provider, or how to charge the right things if you're brand new. You're going to learn our exact sales process, literally the baseline backbone that we do every single day. And we're going to teach you guys how to do that stuff to offer CSRAs and a full stack managed services product to your existing clients. You're going to learn how to take those processes and then apply it to your existing clients and brand new book of business to earn seven-figure months, seven-figure quarters, seven-figure deals, not just a seven-figure MSP. We want you getting way past that into that 10-figure or that 8-figure number, or maybe even larger than that. So we're going to teach you guys how to do all that stuff. If you stay until the end with me today, I'm going to be giving away a couple different prizes. One winner is going to get a $250 Amazon gift card. So that is going to come at the end. Side note, you have to be on StreamYard webinar with us, and you have to have registered with your company name and your full name, and you have to give us that at the end, and it has to match. We've had a bunch of issues with spammers and some stuff recently. It's just part of the deal. So if you're here and you register for something weird, go back out and fix it and come back in, and we'll help you. And we're going to be giving away some clues and some ups as we go. But one winner is going to win $250, and another winner is going to get a $100 Amazon gift card. And everyone on this webcast is going to have an opportunity to win their very own $50 Amazon gift card with, I think that's Taylor Swift. I don't know why Taylor's in here. Ronaldo, add that for us. Whatever. Hey, I'm a big fan. It's a brand new.
Shake it off.
Brand new. Oh, that's what that is. That's Shake It Off, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't know if it's Shake It Off or not.
I think it is. It looks like it
might be. Haters gonna hate.
So hey guys, just so you know, really quick, Cindy is a music buff. And Cindy came walking out on stage in Phoenix. Cindy, what was your? I hope you really enjoyed this, because this.
I totally did. Right.
And,
okay. So.
What was your walk-up song?
I don't actually know the name of the group, Chris. I need Shazam or something like that.
It was actually Ludacris.
Yeah, it was Ludacris. It was a throwback song, but it was like so awesome because it was "Move, bitch, get out the way," right? which is what we do with obstacles, man.
So it's hilarious. So Cindy's on a call with us a couple of like a month ago, and she said this on a live coaching call. I think it was on one of our Wednesday all hands calls, and she says that out loud. And I'm like, oh my God.
And
so I told Lindsay, who's our MC, she was like, you need to make that Cindy's walk-up song. And it worked, and it worked so good. It was great. It was hilarious.
And I do love Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. That's another great
good
song.
Stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. So do me a favor. I know this is hard, guys, but do me a favor and please pay attention. That means no tickets, no client calls, no distractions. If you guys are serious about changing your life, changing your business, we're going to teach you a lot of stuff. You may have been here before. This is a webinar that Cindy and I do now in 2024 once per quarter. So we're not going to be back doing this one again until sometime in Q2, I think the end of Q2. So we're going to have different topics coming up here in the next 2 Mondays of the month. Or the first Mondays of the month coming forward here. But the bottom line is, please pay attention, give us your stuff. And then also, I totally forgot about this. We have a special bonus for you guys that are visiting us today. We're going to give out our cybersecurity risk assessment guide that's brand new for 2024. So we're going to teach you guys how to execute a comprehensive, keyword here, a comprehensive paid CSRA. So this is custom 7-figure stuff. It's really good. Cindy wrote like 99% of this. It's so amazing. Cindy, anything you want to say about that really quick?
I like to write. I did write 99% of that. And for the person who on Facebook asked, are we live? Yes, we are freaking live. Here, I'm going to throw the baseball right at you.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes, we are absolutely live. Hold on, let me pop over here to my thing. Are we live? We are live, Facebook user. There you go. Okay, gotcha.
I love that one, man.
I'm a big fan of being a dork, so it is what it is. So, okay, if you guys do not know me, I don't know what the XS is for. I think that's a typo. But my name is Chris Weiser, and just like you guys, I was an MSP owner. You heard me mention earlier the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm from southeastern Wisconsin. Grew up in a little town called Neosho, if you want to see where that is, Neosho. Grew up in that little town. Migrated to a little bit north of that. Started a break-fix computer shop. Migrated even further closer to the city because I wanted to go where the people were because I needed more business. So those of you that are sitting there saying, I'm in a small town, I can't grow. Sometimes you got to go to where the people are, guys. It's really important. So I picked up and moved away from Neosho, away from Hartford, which was my high school, away from any of that small population towards Milwaukee. And I ended up in Waukesha, is where I was. It's an American Native Indian named area in southeastern Wisconsin. And I built my MSP. And I built that MSP starting in 2004, sold it in 2015. But I started as a 0-person shop, just me. My first contract, Cindy, I don't know if you heard me mention this, was live on stage in Phoenix. And I talked about how my first contract was a $6,000 a month contract where I worked on site 20 hours a week at $75 an hour.
I do remember you telling that story, and I just giggled. I thought, man, that is a great origin story.
Yeah, and that's right. Where I started. But instead of one of the things that I did is instead of saying, okay, I got to live on $6,000 a month, I was eating like ramen and noodles and, I guess ramen aren't noodles, but like not ramen and peanut butter sandwiches, like not even a joke. And I hired a tech. I hired actually a help desk guy to run my show. And I started, before I even knew what I was doing, I started driving traffic to that guy and then I sat on site at the client. In fact, I bought a 100-seat Kaseya license and started there. And I started to branch out and I started to learn how to scale out of the box. And 10 years later, I sold that MSP for a good 7-figure exit, over 200K of MRR, using all the principles that you're going to see today. And speaking of seeing me on stage, that's one of our deals that we have. But since then, we've built a multi-million-dollar 8-figure coaching business called 7-Figure MSP. We have a coaching program for our higher level MSP members. And then we also have a coaching program that's called 0 to 10K for anybody that's just starting out. That's a very reasonable $147 a month for you guys. So if you're interested in that, we got an opportunity to book some calls coming out of this today, and we'll go from there. We'll get you there. Okay. So speaking of seeing me on stage, just want to tell you guys really quick about our next live event. This is speaking of racing, Cindy, I don't know if you have anything to do with this, but maybe our next live event is in Indianapolis. It's in May. No coincidence that it's in Indianapolis in May. I'm a huge racing fan. We got multiple racers going to be there. So we're going to be in Indianapolis, May 7th, 8th, and 9th. This is a 3-day event. We have multiple racing themes there. We got multiple racing speakers. We also are going to be doing our Wednesday night event at the Dallara IndyCar Factory, which is really cool. We're going to have a casino night there. Here's how you can register for this. If you guys want to take a screenshot of that, you can also go to sevenfigureMSPevents.com, click on the live events tab there, and then just register. And then we got some promo codes for you guys in there for you to look at, but that's how you can do that. I think Cindy is throwing it into the chat for you guys, but it's sevenfigureMSPevents.com. Okay. So as Chris Weiser, I'm here to show you, and keep in mind, guys, I never had a single cert. I never had a single qualification, did not go to college past a single semester. And it was never for this. It was like, I was going to be an art student, actually, is where I kind of started out with, because I was good at art. My mom was an artist. My mom was also an executive, but I had art skills and I had all that stuff. But then I couldn't do school. And I ended up being an entrepreneur pretty quickly coming out of high school. I went like for one semester to UW Waukesha in Wisconsin, and kind of it wasn't for me. Still not for me, for the record. I still have no certifications. I still have no degrees of any capacity other than the School of Hard Knocks, I guess. But you don't need tons of certs or crazy technical expertise to build a 8-figure, 7-figure MSP. I'm a great example of that. In fact, I almost think being a tech, like super in the weeds tech these days, probably limits you because your head goes only to that. Now, I'm not going to get into the debate of that. We could talk about tech stuff all day, but you can do all of the stuff that we're going to show you on today's webcast by focusing your time in the right areas and executing the right tasks you need to succeed. And I'm going to be the first one to sit here and tell you, execution matters the most, and done is better than perfect. Now, I understand that's going to mess with your tech guy brain because you're like, oh, and I don't debate. If you're working on servers, if you're working on switches, if you're working on firewalls, all this other stuff, you need to be in a place where things are right. That's why you hire staff to do that. You grow your MSP with sales. You grow your MSP with growth and all these different things. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and I want you guys to get ready in the chat/comments section for me right now. We're going to feature a couple of these. So does this sound like you? You're an MSP owner, or maybe even executive or a salesperson there. You know you need to move from a traditional MSP, selling tech support, break fix, managed services as it was, into a cybersecurity focused or cybersecurity leading firm, but you have no idea how to do it. Does that sound like you? If that's a yes, drop that in the chat for me. I'm going to spy the chat here really quick. I love Cindy's just crushing this with these. Look at this. How are you even typing this fast?
You know.
So we got one right here from Roop Marin Singh says, yes, that's me. John Reed says that's me. Mark Cristobal says, yes, that's me. Sean Gannon says, yes, that's me. Juan Lopez says, yes, that's me.
Oh, so man, did Dan Oliveris. He beat me to it.
Yep. So many people hit. I'm not even going to hit all these yeses. We got yeses upon yeses here. So guys, here's another one from Ryan Herzog. Oh, let me get this one up here. That's true of me as well. Technically still break fix with a few MSP clients. I'm going to teach you a lot of stuff today about this, guys. And then Cindy's going to show you how to sell it. Here's another one with Chris Carafino. Partially, yes, I feel that I shouldn't move away from the MSP idea, but to include it with my offerings. Chris, I like what you're saying because that's exactly what I'm going to teach today. Okay. Great job, guys. Okay. Next step up. Does this sound like you? And Chris Carafino, this directly relates to where you're sitting. You have clients on legacy agreements, contracts, whatever you want to call it, or maybe even worse, handshake deals, right? I'm sure there's MSPs out there that have those, and you have no idea how to get them to sign new ones. Does that sound like you? And there's a method to my madness here, guys. I want you to listen to what I'm talking about, and I want you to drop a yes in the chat. And John Reed came back here and said, oh, yes, on that one. So we got this big client base. We had a guy that came in this morning, that same gentleman named Mark, Cindy. He has, I forget what he told me. He's over 200K of MRR. I think it's 234K MRR, somewhere in that number. But he's got all these break fix clients because they acquired 3 other firms, and they're like kind of sitting there. They don't really know what to do with them.
Oh, we know what to do with it. I'll get them straightened out tomorrow.
Guys. Here's another one from Juan. Our client list Our clients still want IT support from us. So absolutely. And guys, we're never going to tell you to walk away from IT. We're never going to tell you to do that. But we're going to tell you a lot of the things that you need to do to scale your business here. Oh, we're going to click back. But Chris, why would I need my clients on new contracts? I want you to think about that. Because here's the deal. Insurance companies are coming to MSPs right now on cybersecurity, maybe even E&O, sign up or renewal. So your errors and omissions insurance, they're doing all this stuff. And they're starting to say, we are mandating that you go into your existing client base, everybody that you have on your client, you have to prove that you have at least offered everybody a full best offering. Think about the good, better, best world. You have to prove in order to get insured or to have your premiums at a lowish amount, you have to prove that you've offered full cybersecurity to everybody, because if you don't, you're a pretty massive risk. If you're letting clients take advantage of you, if you're letting clients control the situation, dictate the path of support, you're a pretty massive risk. And that's especially with some of the software. We just saw a bunch of software breaches happen in the last MSP software breaches, right? In the last few weeks here. What happens when your client gets hacked? You have to prove that you established that path of support behind you. We tried. We told them they needed cybersecurity. So we're going to show you a lot of how to do that today. And this is the backbone of our 7-figure MSP coaching program. It's exactly what we do. But the bottom line is, good luck getting your current clients to just sign away liability without any type of incentive or reasoning. They have to think almost that it was their idea. Well, I'm going to show you the answers today, me and Cindy. Over the next 60 to 90 minutes, we're going to show you not only the keys to solving these issues, but more importantly, why they work. So I really want you guys to pay attention. This is critical stuff. We're going to show you how to pivot your MSP to deal with financial downturns, to deal with all the stuff that we're looking at right now. We're in an election cycle right now here in the States. So the next 7 to 8 months are going to be fairly tumultuous around here. Cindy, I think we're kind of battening down the hatches, for lack of a better term, as sales coaches, as MSP coaches right now, because we're trying to make sure you guys are ready to go. But more importantly, we're going to teach you how to double, triple, quadruple your MRR selling the right way and the right stuff. Really important. And if you have doubts, that's totally fine. Cindy and I are going to do live exercises. We're going to have other things to go through. Please participate. I'm also going to have a Q&A when we're done, so plan for that. We also have multiple case studies. We're going to kind of show you that this works anywhere. Is really the big factor. And I will tell you, some of our biggest success stories right now are on the other side of the planet. You got people in Australia, you got people in New Zealand, got people in Tasmania, people in the UK that are just crushing it right now, using all the same stuff that we're talking about, because those markets are literally untapped right now, which is awesome. And just remember this: with any coaching you might see, anything that you might have, Cindy and I could be the best at what we do ever, which Cindy is, but I'm a mediocre, solid 3 out of 10 here. But you have to hold yourself accountable. You have to be coachable. You have to be willing to execute. Use this information that we're going to give you today as a launch pad. In fact, Cindy, did you see the testimonial from Nicole Boone in the big group over the weekend?
Oh yeah, I think I might have even commented on it.
I think you threw a boom in there. Cindy's famous for animated booms. But Nicole's been watching for a while. Doesn't feel, and she messaged me over the weekend, actually, just because we were kind of going back and forth on the comments. She got a lot. That post blew up in my big Facebook group. And I'm proud of her, because she took all of this and is applying it and doing it. She's like, I'm almost there. I want to join. I want to do more stuff, but I'm just not there yet. Okay, that's fine. Use this information as a launch pad. If you struggle with structure, if you struggle with accountability, hire a coach. That's what we're here for. We'll walk you guys through that. But the bottom line is, we are here to help you right now. This is tons of free good content that you can actively use. So really quick, I'm going to introduce my co-host. And Cindy's got a brand new headshot too. I totally forgot about that, Cindy. So that's on me.
And he even tells me that I look younger in my new headshot. So I'm like,
you look amazing in your new headshot.
Come on, man. It was a good hair day that day.
It's legit great. But Cindy is our head sales trainer here, chief sales trainer here at 7-Figure MSP. So Cindy, any self-intro?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, so I've been selling stuff for a really long time. I love helping people be more successful than they ever dreamed possible. And basically what I do is I help you have wild, crazy success. And I've been in the tech business. I've been working with MSPs for, God, more than 10 years now. I've been in the tech business since they invented dirt. I've sold everything from hardware to software to SaaS, you name it. Built a big consulting business for somebody else, sold some huge pieces of stuff for other people. And a few years ago, gosh, I guess it was about 4 years ago now, Chris and I were having a drink in a coffee shop, and he, he like made me an offer I thought about refusing, and then I wised up and said, "Hey, yeah, sure, I'll come on board and help out."
Not everybody can be wiser by birth, Cindy.
There you go. I wised up. There you go. Anyway, so I've been helping out around here and having a blast doing it. Met some really amazing people that have changed my life for the better. So it's just a fun place. It's a real positive thought environment. And so if you're down with that, if you like being in a place where people encourage you to do your best, that's what I do.
And that's what we're here for sure. I had the ever trusty Jimmy John's for lunch today, Cindy. So
hey, listen, Jimmy John's, good stuff, right?
Pretty legit.
Better, Jersey Mike's.
I don't know. I like Jimmy John's better. I'm sorry. I did. I had Jersey Mike's like 2 weeks ago when I was in the airport, and I definitely like Jimmy John's better. Sorry. Okay, so moving on to my content. You got about 15 minutes with me, and you got a bunch of Cindy. So I want you guys to think about this. The entire managed service provider industry is at a crossroads, and this is important stuff to think about. And I want you to be really, really conscious. So when I say it's at a crossroads, what does this mean? So think about the MSP of today, and I'm going to break this down real simple for you guys. And if you got any questions, don't hesitate to hit in the chat and all this other stuff. But the MSP of 2024, we're March 4th, 2024 right now. Think about the MSP that we had. Let's just go back to my MSP from 2004 to 2015, or maybe your MSP of today. Probably the same. I think of my MSP back then. We didn't change stack. So we were basically your standard managed services plus help desk, on-site labor, project work, obviously, antivirus, anti-spam, RMM, updates, etc. That's what we were. So you think about that and the way that our clients, even though, and I will tell you, when I sold my MSP, I averaged about $182 a seat across all of my seats. And we had a good amount of seats. We had 90 clients, a lot of seats. We averaged $182 a seat. And I think about how our ideal clients, our decision makers at our ideal clients, let's go back to the orthopedic firm, or I had multiple orthopedic firms, all these different things. They viewed us. Now, this is not how we sold. We actually sold on value and all the stack and being great, blah, blah, blah. Silver, gold, platinum plan. We actually had an all-inclusive plan that we were the core of at the end. That's really what I sold the last like 2-3 years. Their decision makers, when ultimately faced with it, they viewed us in two ways. Either we were there to install new stuff for them, or we were there to fix things when they break. Help desk, on-site, project work. That's what we were. And in today's world, that is seen purely as IT as a commodity. So when we look at the precious metals plans, your silver, gold, platinum, your good, better, best, many, many MSPs still sell that same exact way. But you know what, Cindy, we talk about this all the time. We talk about this all the time. Times are what?
Things have changed, baby.
Things have changed. Times are a-changin'. Cindy says this all the time. Things have changed. So now we're looking at, in today's market, if you as an MSP are selling, you have to be, let's bounce back to what the insurance companies are doing on policies, on insurance renewal, all these different things. And I don't care how long of a term you're selling at, like you could sell it a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, all these different debates. The bottom line is you have to sell yourself as a necessity, which means you have to be risk focused. How did this happen? Why did we get here? Think about where the market sits. Cyber attacks are driving change. We're sitting in this world where literally we just saw, Cindy, I think there was something going on in the chat here. Really quick. Let me see if I can find this really quick. This one here from Cindy. Did you hear about the MSP that is being sued for $1 million because they had a client? I think it was a law. I forget what the end user client, but they had a client get hacked And as far as the client saw it, it was their responsibility. So I want you to think about how important of a deal that is and where we sit in today's world. Because success in your MSP now is much more than just being a good IT company or an IT guy or an IT gal. Like, it's great that you're amazing at tech. I love it. I was never that great of a tech, but I was always a good speaker, very good on stage, good selling, good building systems, good executing, mediocre owner, like not great at what I do, but I'm learning and I'm getting better and better and better. So you need to understand, Mr. MSP owner, if you're with me today, the role of the managed service provider is changing. And you are responsible whether you want this or not. This is really, really important for you to understand. Whether you want to be responsible for cybersecurity or not, in the eyes of the insurance company at the client, it's your problem. In the eyes of the client, it's your problem. In the eyes of pretty much any of the hackers, they're using you to get in. Maybe not going through you as a conduit, but they're using the unpatched holes because there's 0 days and exploits and all these things that are out there. I ask a lot of people all the time. I spoke in New Orleans a couple weeks ago. We were at our live event. Had everybody, Cindy, I think you were there for this. I had everybody in the room raise their hands. So every hands up. Who in this room can prevent all hacks? All the hands go down. We know, right? We all know that we can't prevent all the hacks. But what do our clients think? So it's really important to understand. So what does that mean for you as the MSP owner? What do you think, or where do we stand? It is now your responsibility. And this is very, very clear, and I want you to be very conscious of this. It is now your responsibility as an owner to establish a pattern of behavior related to cybersecurity. Let's go back to what I just said. Can any IT firm prevent all hacks? We know that we can't. And we have to sit here and admit, I can't prevent all hacks. There's a piece of software that's plugged into every client I have that I can't control. Cindy, do you know what that is, that piece of software?
What?
It's the people.
That's right. Human firewall.
It's the human beings. And I know most of the MSPs are like, well, I use this RMM, I use this PSA. Has nothing to do with that, guys. You could have the best stuff in the world, and unless you're unplugging everything from the net all the time and eliminating all the humans. Let's go back to Taylor Swift, right? It's that. So the bottom line is your clients are going to get hacked. They think you got them covered. You're their tech guys. They're doing it already. Or maybe even worse, you've already increased your stack. Some of the guys I was talking to we had brand new clients on the onboarding this morning. We do onboarding every week in our elite program. We had guys coming on there. Oh, we've already beefed up their stack. Okay, but you're still averaging $70 a seat, $80 a seat, $90 a seat. Why? Well, we didn't charge them. Why aren't you charging more? Well, they won't pay for that. Like, that was the mindset of the MSP owner. They're not going to pay for that because they just expect it. Times have changed, guys. You have an amazing, amazing opportunity in front of you. This is the best time this industry's ever seen to make money. And I get all this kickback, all this flack. Oh, Chris, I'm a good guy. I'm ethical. I would never overcharge my clients. What's overcharge? What is overcharge? Because I'm going to tell you right now, we base our pricing, and Cindy and I are going to talk about this a little bit later. We base our pricing here on an 80% gross profit margin. A majority of our elite coaching clients get an 80% gross profit margin or higher. That's best in class in this industry. How are we able to charge all this? And most of the MSPs out there in the field are averaging $68 a seat is what the average that we see comes in. So we have to understand that it's all now about admitting this slide. Your clients will get hacked. They will file an insurance claim. And I'll tell you what, the insurance company is going to investigate. They're going to do a full forensic investigation. And I'll tell you what, if wipe and reload is on your list of remediation tactics, you're just wiping up a crime scene or wiping down a crime scene. Walking in there with alcohol swabs and wiping her all down. We know that's a crime. But for some reason, MSPs are like, oh, I got to make sure my client don't know, or I got to be careful. I got to do these things. Now, this can be looked at as, oh, shoot, I got to cover all my holes. I got to plug all the holes in the boat. Or it's a way to, let's build a different boat, guys. You have a huge opportunity in front of you. Just imagine, and I told the gentleman on the call today, Cindy, his name's Mark. You're going to meet him tomorrow, and he's a good dude. I'm really excited for them. They have huge amounts of MRR. And I told him, what if I could 3x your seat price in the next 12 months? And he looked at me and he's like, bro. I'm like, yeah.
The game gets a lot of fun when you start with those kind of numbers.
Absolutely insane. Now, that's not everybody. So this works with that. This works, bottom up too. But just it gets real fun when it's those kind of numbers. Because, guys, the liability from the insurance companies is handing this down. And I don't care. I have MSPs every single day. There was guys in our IT and MSP BOG chat yesterday. They're like, I can probably win this in court. Okay, maybe you can win it in court. I'm not even going to debate that, but here's what I'm going to tell you. Good freaking luck getting into a courtroom against a multi-billion-dollar insurance company, because they only care about one thing. It's the cashola, bro. That's what they care about. So your job, you know what I'm saying? Your job has to shift now, and we have to establish that pattern of behavior that we were cybersecurity first. We cared about cybersecurity. It was the client that didn't give a shit. It was not us. We sat there in front of them and we told them. We ran a cybersecurity risk assessment. We sat down in a room and said, you need more stuff. You need to pay more. If you don't remove it as an MSP, if you don't have this conversation, you're going to own every single bit of this, because I promise you the client is going to stop being your buddy. Even if it's your buddy, they're going to stop being your buddy. Because when $500,000 is missing, and Logan came on the call today this morning, Cindy, and talked about a brand new municipality that they just interviewed. This was an 11-user city, township. I'm sorry, it's Danny Taylor. Danny Taylor came on this morning, talked about an 11-user township that just had $700,000 taken from them. So who are they pointing their fingers at? I want you to think about that. And I want you to start using the word and the term gross negligence. And what does it mean for you? And what does it mean for your MSP? So that better be computing. We call that in seven-figure land the risk light bulb. That means you better say, holy crap, this is real. And I'm going to tell you guys, Cindy and I have been doing this for 4 years. We've been pretty visionary on the subject. Cindy, I'm going to say, would you say 95% of what we predicted has materialized?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So we've been sitting here saying cybersecurity is going to be a big factor. Insurance is going to evolve. Insurance company is going to move everything. It's going to move the needle. So has your risk light bulb been turned on? Or are you, as an MSP owner, still eating the risk sandwich? Like, are you owning it all? And I want you to understand, our clients walk in the door with 3 choices, even to existing clients. Either you upgrade to our new plan, we give you the risk acceptance notification letter that says, here's where our line in the sand is related to risk, AKA when you get breached, here's what's going to happen. Here's how you're going to pay for it. But we warned you, we told you, or they walk away. 3 choices: upgrade, stay where you are with risk completely on you, or we walk away. I'm not saying walk away from MRR, but I'm saying make your clients make a choice. And it's really important. And my job on this call is to make sure you get that. Okay. That's got to be here. That's in your head right here. So think about this. Gone are the days of not signing an MSA, a master service agreement, a full risk agreement before you begin to work on a project. I'm a big fan of break fix. Cindy and I call it paid leads. Awesome, right? So you have this, every project you work on, I don't care if it's a damn switch out of a switch. I don't care if it's a switch swap. I don't care what it is. MSA. Make sure your agreements are tight. Take a look at MSPlawfirm.com if you guys want to see some new stuff that's coming from us, because that's coming out there. You can book a consult with our girl Paige. Also, gone are the days of not doing cybersecurity risk assessments. Gone are the days of not delivering a full cyber stack, thinking cybersecurity first. Really critical. Full XDR out of the box is what you should be doing. Not just auditing and looking, not just looking at it and auditing it. Somebody's got to be assessing and looking at the logs and reporting back on them and responding. You as an MSP are not equipped to do that. I don't care how good you think you are. You're not a SOC, guys. You're not a security operations center. You're not a full-blown XDR, and you surely don't know how to remediate that. I don't care. That doesn't make you a bad MSP. That means you don't have $1 million a month budget for a cybersecurity operations center. But the cool thing is we got some amazing vendors in this channel that do that. And as I migrate over to Cindy here for her side, Cindy, did you share your screen yet, or are you going to run off my slides?
No, well, let me see. I'm sitting here. You know how I am. I'm going to press a button here.
I'm almost there.
What happens?
We'll get there.
I want to ask you guys,
how are you going to refute a charge of gross negligence? Because I'm going to tell you, if you're negligent, your insurance policy has a clause in it. Droppy, bye. So what's your insurance policy look like? Your cybersecurity liability policy, what's it look like? So how will you refute a charge of gross negligence? And then also, how are your clients going to refute a charge of gross negligence? These are big things that you need to think about. You need to be on the same page with what I'm talking about here. And one of the things that Cindy's going to walk through in a few minutes is a shared bond of competence. You need to embrace that. Not we are responsible for your IT completely, and all you do is pay us once a month, but we have to have a shared bond towards a common goal, which is making sure that we are cyber first as a company, not just you as an MSP, but every one of your clients. And we have to lead the client during the sales process, during the assessment process, to a place where in their brain, they feel, and this is when I talk about the word reframe how you sell, instead of saying, you need more cybersecurity, naughty client, you have to say, position, 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 using a 4-letter word, risk. They're already used to using this every single day. They all have health insurance, E&O insurance, cyber liability insurance. They have all these insurances around themselves already. So we have to use risk as a scenario. Not just that, okay, you won't get hacked, because we can't prevent all hacks, but we have to get them to a place where they understand they're going to get hacked. Here's how we're going to recover. And we have to make sure that they are insurable. Really key. And when you lead them to that place, that need dramatically reduces, or maybe if you do the right job, even completely eliminates price objections. This is really key stuff, guys. And how do you create that need? This is with that emotion, all of these different things, that risk that I was talking about. You show them during the risk assessment, here's all your stuff I found. Oh, by the way, how much money do you have in your bank account? Did you know that you have a single user on your bank account with single basic password on your bank account? No MFA? You have all these backdoors? What's our policy for sending out a wire? These are questions we should be asking during our CSRA. We use the results of this along with oh, you got plain text passwords stored in every browser, on your controller, on your bookkeeper, all these people. We use all those results to create that emotion and create that need, and to make them be like, holy crap. Emotions accelerate the decisions and remove the price objections. And this is how you sell at the margins that Cindy's going to talk about next. Okay? All right, let's hear from Cindy. Cindy, I'm going to make you live here. Here we go. I'm very excited about this. I think that you already did that. Did you?
I think that I already did that.
That was that was so seamless. I didn't even see it.
Hey, listen, guys, Chris tells everybody I'm not technical. And when he does that, you just nod your head and you say, yes, ma'am. She's not technical. That's right. Okay, so here's the thing. We're going to talk about the why, about why we focus on cybersecurity as the wedge issue. Now, I mentioned earlier when I did my intro that I've been in technology since the dawn of time. Let's just call it the dawn of time. And so here's the thing. Every so often, you'll see a bunch of organizations or a bunch of vendors get excited about a concept. lately, what we've been seeing lately is we've been seeing lots of news stories on AI is going to change everything, right? Back in the day, it used to be data warehousing is going to change everything. There's always this big trend. But what I want to share with you that's so different now is cybersecurity, and the fact that cybersecurity is the wedge issue. It's not an artificial trend. So many times in the technology business, we've seen it time and time again, where companies particularly are pushing something. They're pushing something, they just need to educate the market. Well, the market doesn't need to be educated about cybersecurity risk, okay? Now, people may be in denial about what's going on, but they know it's a problem because everybody who owns a business today can tell you what a business email compromise is. Think about that. They know that there are bad emails out there. They know that criminals are taking their money. But what they might not know, and what you may not know, is that the money that's circulating in the world today, cybercrime is now bigger than drug trade. Illegal drug trade is not as large as cybercrime. I want you to think about that for a minute. Did you actually know that? That it's outstripped the drug trade? So it's huge. It's everywhere. It is the wedge issue. And it's 2024. And so what does it mean when I tell you that cybercrime is bigger than drug crime? What it should be saying to you is this: cybersecurity risk is here to stay. This isn't a fad. It's not going away. It's here to stay. And when things fundamentally change in a huge way, as humans, we might have a tendency to resist change. Maybe it's not as much as I think. Maybe if I close my eyes, it'll go away. I'm not really sure I have to do anything. Well, it hasn't happened to me yet, so is it really real? All those kinds of thoughts go on in people's heads, possibly even including your own. It's a big decision to decide that you want to pivot how your business works. And that's fundamentally what we're talking about here. If you're engaged in doing work like a standard MSP, and I come along and I tell you things have changed, cybersecurity risk is here to stay, if you buy into that assertion, then the next question is this: how long are you going to wait before you decide to change? Because we are never, ever going back. And Chris, I think that might be a line out of a Taylor Swift song, but we're never, ever going back to the good old days when all we had to do was help people figure out how to reset their passwords and print from Excel to the printer, right? It's not what it's about anymore. What it's about now is making sure they have enough money in the bank to make payroll. So, how many of your clients are going to be breached? So, it's a numbers game. So, here's the truth of it: when you're a managed service provider, you're always trying to grow your base, right? Raise your hand if you'll take a client if they fog the mirror. They just fog the mirror, they're breathing, they're alive. You'll take them as a client. Let's sign them up. Really? You'll take anybody? Right? Because here's what's going to happen: they're going to try to tell you how to do your job. We want this, we don't want that. Yeah, we're not going to train our people on security. No, we don't need multi-factor. That just slows us down. So when you ask the question, how many of your clients are going to be breached? It's a non-zero number, right? You know that. The bigger question, though, is how many of your clients will sue you when insurance gets involved? So here's the thing: you're in the grocery store parking lot, you have a little fender bender. Did you ever notice how everybody's super friendly until the first person says, well, I need your insurance information? And then what happens? Nobody's friendly anymore because we all know what the insurance companies do. They get in there and make sure they don't have to pay, right? So the stakes in this world that we live in are higher than ever before because the insurance companies are fundamentally changing the behavior of business owners. They're changing their behavior. And they're doing it because they have lost so much money in the last 5 years. They have to change the risk equation, or the insurance companies are going out of business. So I just have one question for you. If you're listening to this, and it's real simple. Is your risk light bulb, is your risk light bulb on? Is your risk light bulb on? Do you get it about how high the stakes are? And give me a hell yeah in the chat. Give me a high five in the chat there with a hell yeah if your risk light bulb is on. Because if it's not, I'm just going to be a little controversial. You might as well get off the call, right? Because
and maybe really quick, maybe
yeah.
you shouldn't even be owning an MSP if your risk light bulb's not on. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Well, Chris, I think that is a really valid thing that we've actually never talked about on this call, but I'm going to be really frank. There are points in your life where you do a personal inventory. And what a personal inventory really comes down to, and I'll put this in the chat, is it worth it? Is this worth it? Is the juice worth the squeeze, right? That's the old saying we always hear, right? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Well, if you guys have ever studied David Porter's competitive analysis and the 5 forces model, there are these big tsunami waves that come in, and cybersecurity attacks and the transfer of 10% of the world's economy into the hands of criminals, that is fundamentally like this huge tsunami wave coming down on business. And to be very frank, there are going to be people who decide that this is the single event that forces them to exit the market.
Yeah.
There are going to be people who decide to do that because the juice is not worth the squeeze anymore. I'm going to have to learn new things. I'm going to have to do things differently. Well, what we do is we help business owners of all sizes. And sometimes it's the larger businesses that we help the most. We help them understand how to ask their prospect the right questions. So we're going to have a pop quiz right now. Who wants a pop quiz, right? Pop quiz. I want you to prove it that you're answering your prospects the right questions. So here we go. I'm going to type prove it in here, and then I'm going to have you prove it by typing some stuff into the questions. So here's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about the last prospect that you went out to visit. Okay? Got that company in your head? The last prospect you went to visit. Okay, I want you to answer some questions in the chat. You ready? My last prospect's annual sales are fill in the blank. Okay, so my last prospect's annual sales are fill in the blank. What's their annual sales? And by the way, you should just know I'm not moving off of this slide till I get through at least 3 numbers. Okay.
Oh, we got 2 out of the box, so we got 1 from Dan.
John, I am totally loving this. John, you got to play along with me on this. You went to see somebody that's doing 20 million. You're singing to my heart, buddy. Dan King got somebody with 3 million, also singing to my heart. Don Mangiarelli, 3 million, 4 million. I am loving that you all know these numbers. This is outstanding. Okay, now the next question, and I'm loving this, is how many million in cyber coverage do they have? How many million in cyber coverage? I typed it wrong, but here you go. Let me go to that slide. Do you know the last prospect has this much in cyber insurance coverage? Do you know how much cyber insurance coverage you have? Kudos to everybody who knew the revenue. The revenue was amazing. John, I'm loving this. John's got a $20 million company that's got 1 to 2 million in cyber insurance. Oh, we are going to go to town on this example, John. This is totally killer. I love the zeros that are coming up. Most are 1 million. This is super, super, super good. Now we're going to go for what I call the final trifecta question, which is this. When was their last cyber review? Okay, let me put that in. When was their last cyber review? So notice we're asking 3 questions. What's your revenue? What's your cyber insurance? And when was your last cyber review? So do you know the answer to that one? Do you know the last cyber review question? Oh, Don, you hit it with never. Way cool. Mike says never. Awesome, 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 awesome. Oh, John, this is great. When you were there, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. When you were there. Okay, now, here's the thing. Oh, 2023, BC. Okay, great. You have to tell
That's
me
funny, John. I laughed at that.
I don't know what. Oh, BC. Oh, you mean like before Cindy? He means before Cindy, Chris. He means BC.
Oh man, way to pivot on that one. Girl,
Yeah,
working fast today.
you know. So anyway, so here's the thing. When we ask these three questions, let's dig into what it tells us. First of all, simple math. Simple math. You guys know this simple math. Your prospects need to have 300K per employee in revenue. Oops, I spelled it wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and press return because I don't want to do it over again. So can anybody tell me in the chat why 300K per employee in revenue is a super important number for you to sear into your brain, sear that puppy into your brain? You know why? Somebody tell me why. When a company is making 300K per employee in revenue, they have money to pay you well. Yeah, because they should have some profit. That's exactly right. Okay. Now, does anybody here ever go call on people who are constantly telling you they can't afford your services? Right? Well, I don't know about you, but I want to work with people who are successful and who can afford my services. I get to choose where I go. I'm choosing to go into a world where people respect what I do and can afford to pay for really good quality service because that's what I deliver. Don't you? So why wouldn't you figure this stuff out on your first time appointment? Figure this stuff out, right? So we want to know how much they got in cyber coverage. We also want to know when their last cyber review was, because these questions tell us what their security mindset is. So you go see somebody with 20 million in annual sales and they got a $2 million security policy, cybersecurity policy, and they've never had a cybersecurity risk review. What that tells me, number one, they got a great relationship with their insurance agent because he probably sold an add-on rider. Number two, they don't take security very seriously because they've never had a review, which means they probably haven't had to update their security insurance application lately, which again tells me that they probably have a security insurance policy with significant exclusions and limitations. And what this all tells me with three simple questions: number one, whether or not they can afford me; number two, whether or not they're worth the trouble; and number three, whether they've got unbounded risk. And John, the good news is your $20 million opportunity sounds like a ripe opportunity to go run the play on. So I'm excited for you, buddy. Let's go run the play on those guys. Okay. Now, is there a guideline of how much cyber insurance coverage a company should have based on their revenue? So here's the really important thing, Mark. That's a great question that you just asked. And the problem is this: you can't buy what you need. Okay. I grew up at the confluence of the Mississippi and Missouri rivers. Okay. There's a little county there that goes underwater every spring. You cannot get flood insurance there. The federal government will give you flood insurance, but once your home's been wiped out one time, they refuse to give it to you the second time because everybody knows that's what happens there. That's the kind of thing that's coming our way because things have changed. You just can't get the coverage you need because you can't afford it. So at this point, you really have to start thinking about what's your strategy to manage this risk.
And one thing I'll say, Cindy, is talking to our in-house counsel. Her name is Paige Taylor Bennett, and talking to our MSP contract kit creator, Liz Pifko. They both recommend a minimum of $2 million for you, and then a minimum of $2 million for your client also internally. That's a minimum, because roughly now you're looking at 1 to 2 million as your baseline incident costs, depending on how much money is taken.
Right on.
That's
So,
actively talked about.
So Chris, last week we had a new member join who told me about a client they have that paid 10 million to the criminals in cyber ransom.
Yeah.
So if you're not in this community, first of all, inside our community, people share very openly about what's going on.
Yeah.
And so we're constantly getting new telemetry, new data on what's happening with the payments that are going out the window to the crime lords. And it is significant. It's crazy what people do, right? Okay, so you've got to know the answer to these 3 questions because the facts matter like never before. And the context of these facts change everything. When you get this information out in your first time appointment, you understand their security position, you can now start to reposition or change the way you position your fee. So let me ask you this. I want you to do some math, okay? I want you to come over here and I'm going to say, do the math. Do the math. So I want you to take your fee, your monthly fee, times 12 and divide by the annual sales. And I want you to calculate that number for me. What is your fee? What is your fee as a percentage of annual sales, right? And I'm hoping my dear buddy, where's my little buddy, John? I'm hoping my buddy John plays along with this one. Because John, I want to see exactly where you are on that percentage because I've got some advice and some potential guidance directly for you based on your numbers. Okay. So you guys are doing the math, right? You got your supercomputer out and you're crunching those numbers. So I'm going to crunch an example just so you can, oh, yes. Yes, John. John. Tell me what OMB stands for because I don't know that acronym. It's like, is that like, oh my God? I don't know. But when you're at 0.2%, John, most IT budgets for a company of that size are
he meant OMG is what he meant.
Oh, okay. When most IT budgets for a company of 20 million are somewhere between 3 and 6% of annual sales. So John, I'm going to blow your tiny little mind. I'm going to take the lower number because when you coach with me, I always take the conservative number. So I'm going to take 3%. So I'm going to take $20 million. Let's see if my little calculator goes that high. Yep, there's $20 million times 0.03. And then I'm going to divide that by 12. And John, I hope you're doing the math along with me because, buddy, that number is $50,000 per month. That's 3% of their gross sales. So when you uplift your price just a tiny little bit, and you take it from $48 a seat or $78 a seat, and you take it up to $300, let's just pretend for a minute that we're going from 78 to 300. 300 divided by 78, that's an uplift of 3.8. So I'm going to take 3.84615. You can tell I love precision. Times your 0.27%. That would take you up to 1%, John. That would take you up to 1%. And remember, the recommended guidance is 3%. So I'm like, dude, get with it, right? Because you're leaving money on the table. Now, if you want to know how to explain that you're leaving money on the table, your fee is a percentage of their annual sales. It takes money to make money, right? You can ask the question, what else do they spend 1 to 3 or 1 to 6% on, right? You got to spend money in different departments to make the business go.
Yeah. What I'll also tell you guys is if you just walk in the door and say, hey, we're raising our price, or if you do the typical MSP, I'm going to send an email out to all my prospects or all my clients and tell them my prices are going up, you're probably going to lose 50 to 75% because you've not led them around where they believe they need it. So it's really, really critical that you do this the right way.
Yeah, you just can't go in and be unilateral about it, right? Okay, now here's the other crazy thing I want you to think about. They're making $20 million a year. So I want you to draw this picture, right? Put a big box on a piece of paper. Yeah, you got a piece of paper somewhere, right? And then coming in is money. Going out is money, right? They got $20 million in sales. What's their average monthly cash flow? Well, let's it matters because that money is in the bank and you're helping to protect that. You're helping to protect it. So the big thing to do here is to say, hey, are you asking yourself the right questions? Because remember, I'm like your little fairy godmother here, right? I'm explaining how this all works, but notice what I'm using. This is my supercomputer, right? I got a baseball here. You know what the baseball does? It keeps you focused. If you think I'm going to throw this ball at your head, you're going to have your head in the game when you're crunching the numbers here. And the big deal here is, do you ask yourself the right questions? Are you asking yourself the right questions? We got to change the questions we ask each other. So let's do a quick test. What is your all-in? What's your all-in MRR today, right? What's your all-in MRR today? Just tell me what it is. Pop it in the chat, okay? What's your all-in MRR? Now you guys are like crickets. Nobody's talking. Put some numbers in here. Okay, put some pretend numbers in here. Hey, Mark, way to go, buddy. I appreciate you putting some numbers in. Ryan, thank you. 3,000 is very respectable. Chris, 6,000, very respectable. Dan, thank God. Dan, yes, way to go. 60K. That is a super awesome number. Alan's got 25K in there, right? Okay, well, if you're not going to put the number in, that's okay. Just write it down for yourself, okay? Then what you do is you say, how many endpoints are in your RMM? Want to know how many endpoints are in your RMM? Okay? And then here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to divide your MRR by your number of endpoints. Okay? So I want you to divide your MRR by your number of endpoints. And the reason we're going to do that is because that gives you your all-in seat price. Now, here's why I love it when you trust me enough to share your all-in seat price. When you trust me enough to share your all-in seat price, I can tell you exactly how you sell. I can tell if you sell on value. I can tell if you sell as a commodity. And depending on how big your book is, I can tell you how much opportunity is in there. So Mark, I love you to death, brother. You're selling on value. Woo-hoo. Even at 288, you can still add $100 per seat. Don, you're not chasing commodity deals, but you're not getting what you're worth. Same for Dan. Peter, you're doing extremely well. You can still push it up, but I'm very proud of where your number is at 333. Okay? So here's the thing. If you want to know how much money is available to you in your book of business, then you've got to do some math to figure out how much is there. And Ryan, you've got a lot of upside potential in your book. So here's what you're going to do. You are going to look at this all-in seat price and you're going to say, what do I need to do to make it better? So take your total number of endpoints times $100 and then divide by 2. Okay? So take your total MRR times 100 and then divide by 2, and that is going to equal your sales upgrade goal. Now, every Tuesday, I give everyone in our program their sales upgrade goal, and then we go make it happen. Okay? And we work the book of business in a very specific way to make it happen. Okay? But this gives you an idea of how much MRR is left in your book that is unclaimed opportunity. Okay? So tell me what your sales upgrade goal is. Tell me your sales upgrade goal. Tell me what it is. Okay? Because now we're talking. When you trust me enough to tell me what your sales upgrade goal is, you know what happens in your mind? things change. And all of a sudden, you start seeing the possibilities of what you would do with that money, right? When you get your sales upgrade goal, what happens is it's going to be a certain number of thousands of dollars per month. And that money's going to come into you, and there's going to be margin associated with it when you have it priced appropriately. And what does that mean? That means it's going to kick off money into your investment that will allow you to do new things. So, Don, a $5,500 MRR goal is a fine goal, right? And that's what we want to go out and get. Peter, yes, I've seen sales upgrade goals that are that big when you do the math properly and you got a big book of business. And now, Peter, my friend, I want you to multiply that by 12. And that's what you're leaving 2.5 million on the table every month that you don't execute. And if you execute and get everybody converted, then boom, you can see how much you're going to pull in a year, right? Big numbers. And that's how much MRR you can get when you run the play. Okay. Now, when I talk about running the play, it's a lot like picking up ground balls. I used to coach Little League for girls, softball for girls. And we all had to learn how to throw the ball and how to catch the ball, right? Yeah, Peter, do an oh my God, because it's like serious, all right? And the thing is, it's just like learning how to pick up ground balls. It's really easy. But have you ever tried to teach a little kid how to catch a ball? It's like, it's not the easiest thing in the world until you practice, right? And you have to remember what the steps are. And your motivator for going to practice, repeat it after me, type it into the chat, please. Here's your motivator. Cash flow solves all problems. Okay? So are you asking yourself the right question when you go out to talk to people? And the number one question you got to be asking yourself is, does the prospect qualify to be my client? Now, if I told you that every single one of your clients represents a real and material risk to you making your mortgage payment or putting food on the table for your children or your family, would you have a more critical eye toward your clients, your potential clients? If you looked at your potential clients like they had fleas, or better yet, bed bugs, would you look at them differently? So here's the thing. We want to know if the prospect actually qualifies to be your client. You're going to be asking different questions. There's a minimum deal size. You can't serve everybody. What's your minimum deal size? We call this a get out of bed number. I won't get out of bed for less than so much a month. What does that do? That focuses you, right? You want to ask the question, does this deal meet my financial requirements? Well, what are your financial requirements? What are they? How much margin do you have to make on every deal? Do you have a deal review play where you review every deal and make sure? Do you have a minimum deal gross margin? I won't take a deal if I can't make enough gross margin on it because it's not worth my time. And maybe you're saying to yourself, oh, Cindy, get real. I'll take any deal anytime because I don't have enough deals. Well, when are you going to leave that mindset behind? Maybe you've grown a really big, really successful business, and maybe now it's time to sculpt and shape this business into a true financial asset rather than just a hamster wheel, right? So when we go out to do a deal, one of the big questions we want to ask ourselves is, did I follow all the steps prior to presenting the deal? Because when we skip steps, when we just run a simple scan and walk out with like a canned report from a tool vendor that we adore and love, but we didn't put any of our own intellectual thought into it, we're a commodity. Anybody can do what we want at that point. So what we want to do is we want to ask the question, what steps? What steps must you follow to drive a move toward real value? What steps must you follow to drive a move toward real value? And if you want to say, let's finally go, like all the rest of us, that's one of our
Doesn't
hashtags.
mean that, Cindy. That doesn't mean that.
Doesn't mean let's finally go. I think it means let's finally go, right? Then what we can
She's
do is,
such a good young lady. So
yeah,
well,
there you go. So what we can do is we can teach you how to pivot your sales conversation and escape that IT commodity sales trap. But the first thing that has to happen is you have to say, I want to change. What I'm doing today will not get me to where I want to be. And when you can make that decision, then what we do is we go into a very simple set of steps, just like catching a ground ball with a process, but we ask you that you follow the process. So, where does the cybersecurity risk assessment fit in the MSP sales cycle? Number one, you have a first call it a first time appointment. Yes, there's a replay of the webinar. No problem. We'll send that to you. But there's a first call, first time appointment, and there we build trust. But we also screen, baby. In that first time appointment, I'm asking them what their annual sales are. I'm asking them if they have cyber insurance and when was their last cyber review. About how many employees do you have? And bingo, I got a screen right there that says whether or not these people are worth my time or not. Right? And if they're not worth my time, maybe I have a partner that I send them to. Right? But anyway, I use that first time appointment to build trust. Then my second appointment, classic discovery call, 30 to 45 minutes. We get in there, we help them explain what's going on in their business, and we find out where their issues and problems are. Now, here's the thing. In this model, no matter what they say, you're not going to get enough information in 30 to 45 minutes to give a bid. True confession. I'm going to put this in here. I want a true confession. If you do this, I want to know how many of you go on a 30 to 45 minute call and shoot your shot and give them a price right there. How many locations you got? How many people you got? Yeah, we can probably do it for this much money. How many of you just shoot your price right there? Tell me, is that what you do?
that's, I'm going to tell you guys, I don't care if you respond now or not. That's 90% of this industry.
Yeah, it's a second call. It's a second call, Dan. Right? It's a second call. Look at all those balloons going crazy, man. So it's a second call, but yeah.
What are the balloons? How'd you do the balloons?
Hey, if I knew, I'd have to kill you. So here's the other thing. If the client looks at you and says, listen, I'd love to meet with you again, but you're going to have to give me a price right now or I will not meet with you again. True confession. How many of you have caved because the client withheld their affection and said they wouldn't meet with you again unless you rolled over on your belly and showed them your price? Yeah, they always want to know how much it costs, right? You want to know how I answer the how much does it cost question? I would love to shoot you a price right now, but I got to be honest with you. It's a common practice in our industry for people to just shoot a price without knowing what's really going on. I'm a conservative business operator. If I shoot you a price right now based on what I know today, that number is going to have to accommodate for a whole host of things that I don't know if it's present in your business or not. It's going to be a fat number. You want a fat number or do you want a good number? To get a good number, we're going to have to get in and look and see what your gaps are. What kind of issues and problems do you have? It's not uncommon for business owners to think their business is stronger and in better shape than it really is. So we do
also, really quick, they've also never been told that they need to spend on IT ever in their entire history. So they're very used to doing things the way it always was done.
So here's the thing. All roads lead to a cybersecurity risk assessment. I don't care what they tell you in the discovery call. You're going to summarize it. You're going to get them to say, that's right. Do I understand your situation? You got this, 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 and this. And you're really worried about this. Do I have that right? Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, based on what you're sharing with me, the next step in our process is a cybersecurity risk assessment. And that is a fee-based consulting engagement, which gives you a written report, and you can take the deliverable to any managed service provider you like for ongoing service. Notice, I'm not saying I want your ongoing business yet. You know why? I don't know if you live in Crazy Town yet. Anybody ever do work with somebody who lives in Crazy Town? Wouldn't you love to have them pay you so you could get to know how their business works and what their issues are and how things are, so you could get paid for your pre-sales effort? Because that's what we're doing with the CSRA. We're monetizing pre-sales. Monetizing pre-sales. And if you find out they live in Cray Town, you give them the report and you say, sadly, at this time, I don't think we're the right provider for you. Boom, hit the door, right? Now, there's somebody on this call saying, Cindy, I would never do that. I would never say, boom, hit the door. I would ask them if they wanted to buy from me. And then when they tell me no, then I'd hit the door. But you know what? There's a lot of power in having standards. So anyway, so what we do is we do the cybersecurity risk assessment. We've got a specialized methodology for it. I'll show you in just a second, like the next slide. And then what we do is we go into a risk management conversation. Now, you might mistakenly call it a sales call. I call it a risk management conversation because that's what we're doing. We're talking about their risk. And should they decide they want to move forward and leave fantasy land behind and come into the real world where all of us regular people live, then we're going to take them through onboarding. Onboarding is a 90-day project. You know why onboarding is a 90-day project? Because there is a lot of stuff to do. And you're going to need that much time. And in that 90-day window, you're going to have a 30-day checkpoint. You'll probably get a video testimonial. Then you're going to have a quarterly security review. Let's throw business reviews out the window and let's do quarterly security reviews. Now, what happens when you do this every single time? So let me just put this in the chat. What happens, oops, when you do this every single time without fail? What happens when you do this every single time without fail? You have a repeatable sales process. You collect and you deliver deals at margin that provide the financial strength that your company will need should you, God forbid, get hit with an attack of your own. When you run a business where your margins are too thin, God forbid you get attacked yourself or a client gets attacked and it's all hands on deck, can you withstand the financial reversal? Most businesses can't. So when it really gets down to it, making this shift is not something that we want to do. It's a financial requirement. It's something we have to do in order to be able to stay in the game. So let's pivot one more time and let's look at exactly what we do. So when we get into the cybersecurity risk assessment, here's what we do that's different from just taking a couple of tools and throwing them on the machines and running some technical scans. Number one, we're going to ask you to run this like a traditional, classic consulting engagement. You're going to have an executive sponsor meeting. Guess what that means? You're going to find out who the executives are in the company. You're going to find out where all the hidden decision makers are before you get to the sales presentation. You're going to interview all of them and understand what their beliefs are about risk and how they manage their responsibilities in the business. Then you're going to fish the ever-loving daylights out of them and find out which ones of them are using the same damn password everywhere. And you're going to find out where the real weaknesses are in the business. You're also going to discover whether or not they have any security policies and implement them. You're going to find out if they prop their doors open and let anybody come in and let anybody into the server closet. You're going to find out if you flip over the laptops, whether or not they got all their passwords written on a little yellow sticky under the laptop. You're going to do the classic network review that you've been doing for 100 years that you're really good at. But I bet most of you are not doing a data review. You don't know where the data is, and neither do they. You don't know what data is encrypted, probably none. You don't know where the data is being stored that they don't even know about. And then users and the systems they use, you're going to do a deep review on that. They're going to tell you they're in the cloud and they don't need any of this stuff. And you're going to prove to them that when you're in the cloud, you're more at risk than anywhere. Then you're going to do the dark web research and you're going to fish. You're even going to social engineer. And all of that is so much more comprehensive than just running a few simple scans. Would you agree that it's more comprehensive? And now you're going to say to me, Cindy, I don't want to do all that work. And my only question is this: what are you doing instead? Because this, baby, is where the value is. It's in understanding how the business operates. When you understand this at depth, with detail, you can never be replaced by somebody who's just going to shoot their shot on the first call and is operating simply on price, because you're too valuable to the business to be let go. Another big question is, how are you managing your own risk? When we run the same play every time, you go from these really low numbers to really high numbers per seat. We run the same play every time. And you can do this on every single client. And when you do that, your book of business transforms and your life transforms. This is the how. This is how we do it. When you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you always got. If you're not satisfied with what your business is producing for you right now, is it time to make a change? Because when you do what you've always done, you're going to get the same results you've always got in the past. This methodology works. We've been running this for 4 years. People who consistently apply the methodology have what I affectionately refer to as outsized results. People who run the play periodically from time to time and they get defocused, go and do other things, they still have a material difference to their bottom line. And they have more options because they have more cash flow. It's really that simple. So let me bring Chris back in. Chris?
Man, you are a machine. It's like amazing to listen to you. I've done this webinar for we've been doing this over 2 years probably. And you just keep, your delivery is just so good and it's amazing. So thank you so much for being here. Guys, if we got questions, we're going to do a Q&A in a few minutes. Jose is in the group call with us. I'm going to bring him on. See, we got a little twist today. Jose is tracking the questions and he's going to come on and answer questions for us really quick here in a few minutes. So, okay. Cindy, great job. Ready to kind of take us to the home stretch here. So I want to ask you guys a couple things. So we were talking about the risk magnet, or sorry, the risk brain fart there. Jesus. Risk light bulb. We're talking about the risk light bulb being turned on. Is your risk light bulb turned on? And I want to ask you specifically in your head, what does your business look like? Do you have a solid master service agreement? Do you have a good statement of work? Do you have a good, controlled, scalable SLA? These are things that you have to look at. And I want you to look at yourself and look at your client base, because this is the question I asked this morning on our onboarding again. And Cindy, feel free to chime in on any of this stuff if you want. I asked this question. I think we had 5 or 6 brand new clients on the call this morning. Asked these guys this question specifically related to if, let's just say your 5th largest client got hacked. Are you confident that your MSA would stand up against liability, risk, incident response, indemnification, venue? And they were like looking into the camera like I just asked them to kill their brother. They're like, because it's stuff you don't think about, because all you think about in the agreement usually is what happens if my client wants to cancel. So think about that. Agreement's there to protect you. Next piece on this. What does your internal cybersecurity insurance look like? And what does your client's cybersecurity insurance look like? If you do not have a partner for this, we use a company called Willow Risk Management. Our members get a really good deal with them, also known as InSkyber, INSKYBER. You just Google InSkyber. You should have a minimum of a $2 million internal policy. You should have a minimum of a $2 million cybersecurity liability policy. And then your clients should have a $2 million policy on their own. That is, again, minimums. And another tactic that I would also use during your CSRA is to pull the actual policy they have. Do not try and get into the business of quoting insurance. You need a license for that. Don't play that game. Partner with either InSkyber or somebody else. TechRug's a really good one as well. Partner with somebody or an independent local insurance agent that you have in your area that knows risk management and risk response. You can actually do this and then use your services to help them get a discount on their premiums. Think about that. We are going to lobby for you with your insurance company to help you get a discount on premiums, but you have to lead with all this stuff, guys. This has to be part of your CSRA and part of your process here. What does your risk acceptance statement look like? Keep in mind, all of this stuff we have inside of our coaching program. What does your risk acceptance statement look like? So for example, I'm going to talk to you about cybersecurity. I'm going to do a CSRA on you. I'm going to show you the results. Not in report format that I dump on your desk. Cindy did a presentation at our live event. You had the orange binder in your presentation. I still remember that. The big old thud factor, full ream of paper, boom, orange binder. We should have had a real one, is what we should have done. If I would have known better, we would have had a real one sitting there. Could have just been filled with blank paper, but it would have been fun. We've all done that. How are you presenting? Are you leading the client with paper and reports and RAM addresses and all this crap that doesn't matter? Or are you leading them with advice and solutions to a problem that have zero to do with tech? This is all process and structure, guys. This is not, I'm going to throw more RMMs at it. I'm going to throw more RAMs at it. I'm going to throw my antiviruses at it. Doesn't fix that problem because I don't care how much of that stuff you have. You can't stop all hacks. You got to be ready. And that risk acceptance statement basically draws a line in the sand. I told you you needed this. Establishing this pattern of behavior, you refused. Here's my line in the sand. Mission critical that you do that. And what does your incident response plan look like? When your client gets hacked, what's your plan? What are you going to do? Have you done tabletop exercises? Have you done live hacking fire drills with your clients? All stuff you should be looking at and thinking about, right? These are real things that you need to be on top of. So I want you to think about that. This is all stuff we address. Cindy was talking about the hive mind and the collective. That's all of our coaching client members. We have 2 different big groups. We got our 0 to 10K program, which is our smaller guys, 0 to 10K MRR guys. And then we have our big coaching program. That's all our guys that are the elite members. That hive mind is so powerful, so powerful. Okay, next up, we got some Q&A. So I'm going to bring Jose on the call with us here. Hey, buddy.
What's up, guys?
How you doing?
Doing good, man.
Okay, so you got Chris and Cindy here. We got our little Jose, the MC, who had no idea he was doing this until about 15 minutes
ago. No
ago.
idea. Literally 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, get your shit together. You're doing this. I told him. He's like, crap. We got to give you something, man. You're just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so what do we got?
So now Cindy did answer some of these just briefly, but I thought it was good. Do you charge separate for the onboarding, or is it included in the 300 plus a seat price? That was from Phil.
Okay, so I got a couple questions on this, and Cindy and I'll let's you and I hit these one. I'll hit them and then you hit them. Okay, is you okay with that? So we're organized. So I always walk in the door charging an onboarding fee. I also added a setup fee that I used to do, and I'm a big fan of setup fees. It always gives me something I can toy with. I like the onboarding fee, and here's kind of how I do it. Cindy, I'm open. Keep in mind all this stuff is charging the right way, and then onboarding is kind of like, I don't say free money, but it's your time to get them from where they are now up to serviceability. That's the way I looked at it. And I just usually can walk in and look at during the assessment, and we can walk in and be like, okay, it's probably going to take us 2 guys, 2 full days to get this to serviceable. If we have to do more, we'll do more. Our onboarding is going to be whatever times our time rate. So $4,000, $6,000, $8,000, whatever it's going to be. And then that also gives you some avenue to play with based on term length. So you sign a 4-year, I'll knock this down, I'll cut your onboarding in half. Things like that. I love playing with that because I never want to mess with my MRR amount because that's where I make my money and that's where I care. The onboarding is kind of free cash. I'm very open to that. But here's what I'll always say. Always charge an onboarding. If you want to charge a setup fee, you can do that. Gives you something to wave out of the box. Okay, I'll wipe off the setup fee, blah, blah, blah. Cindy, what's your take?
So I've never had anybody ask me what the onboarding fee is. There seems to be this sort of unspoken understanding of what onboarding is, right? Here's what I say. Every client has deferred technology debt. There are things that have to be done to bring you up to our minimum standard of care. We put a tremendous amount of labor into your business to bring you up to that minimum standard of care because you've been ignoring and not taking care of things, right? Or if they're a current client, we have to bring them up to the new minimum standard of care because things have changed and cyber attacks are way up, and we have to put in multiple layers of cyber protection. That does not include hardware fees, okay? We put a tremendous amount of labor into your business in the first 90 days, and rather than charging you an outsized onboarding fee, we take most of that labor and we amortize it over the term of your contract. So we put some of it in the onboarding fee. The rest is in your amortized into your contract.
Yeah, I like that.
Right.
So here's what I'll tell you guys. More than one way to skin a cat on the onboarding. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
It's not something that's really that tight, but I just like the free cash. So I'm open to whatever. Okay, Jose, what else we got next?
I want to hear Cindy's more thoughts on this, but do you recommend we use certain cybersecurity software when we do a full cyber assessment?
Okay, so we recommend a product called Telivy, Telivy. They're good guys. Narain is their CEO. Kevin's their CTO. Really good product. You can also use SaaS alerts on top of that. You can also use Augment on top of that. There's multiple other products for looking at it. And then you should have some internal checks and balances of things that aren't. So you guys are thinking like techs, but you got to also think about where's the money at. What are the hackers after these days? The hackers are after the money. They're not looking to ransom servers that much. I mean, that's fine, but that's not a big deal anymore. They're trying to get on servers and sit there so they can access the money. So things like, how much money do you have in your bank account? How much money is in your payroll accounts? How many different bank accounts do you have? How many people have the bank account access? Is there MFA on the bank accounts? What kind of cybersecurity insurance you have? Like these are how many plain text passwords are in the browsers of your decision makers. It's all stuff that you need to look at that a software can't necessarily grab for you. So it takes a checklist and some common sense, thinking like a hacker. And that's really important. Not just thinking like a 19-year-old kid that's playing Fortnite that wants to break in, but it's thinking like somebody that wants to sit there and be resident and watch and then simulate and maybe deep fake the organization into paying a bunch of money down the road. Because once that money goes away, are there controls for sending international wires? Are there controls for sending gift cards on credit? Blah, blah, blah. So that's my take on that. There's a couple different ideas for you. On software, we do include and partner with multiple in our coaching program. Cindy?
You nailed it. I mean, that's really the deal.
Yeah. Think like a criminal, Cindy said. It's all about the cashola. And that's very accurate. And here's the other factor, guys. This whole discussion is going to differentiate you from the cheap guys. doing this stuff, we still have guys that are like, oh, I'm losing to a $20 a seat, dudes. If your client is choosing that you either, there's two things. Either you massively failed at conveying risk or they're freaking morons. There's not really an in between, because if they're choosing the low price leader, they don't understand the risk at all, or they understand it completely and they don't care. So your job, I'll go all the way back to the beginning, what I said, your job now is to educate them as to the risk and make them make a decision. Not show them how big their servers are. That shit don't matter. Okay. Where are we at, Jose?
Cool. Does this work in Canada? And I'll add to it. Maybe they're asking, can I get that 350 plus a seat price in Canada?
No, they were asking that about Willow Risk.
Okay.
So Willow Risk itself, I do believe they're on the I talked to Tom at our Phoenix event. Tom Wierzbowski is the CEO. I do believe they are ready for Canada now. Definitely a challenge up north. I don't disagree, guys. Do me a favor and on your call that you book with Jose coming out of this, Jose can help connect you with Tom Wierzbowski from Willow Risk.
Yep.
How's that, Jose? Good?
That's perfect. Yeah.
Okay, what else we got? And by the way, the program itself, what we do, everything we do here, we got Canadian guys destroying it. I don't care where you're at. We are in every English-speaking country in the world, and the only reason we're not in more, meaning other language countries, is because I don't speak any other languages. It's that simple.
Yeah.
What else you got, Jose?
That's pretty much it, man. There's
okay.
not a lot.
I'm going to say this from Dan here. Good comment. An average attack takes 214 days to detect if your client has security in place, or 322 days with no security. Think about that. That's crazy. Great stats. I don't know where you're getting those, but those are good stats, man. Here's another one. I'm going to hit this last one. Who do you recommend is the best platform to best assist with assessments? I already talked about this, Dan. That's Talivy, SaaS Alerts, Augment. I think Simeon Cloud is also out there. Microsoft has some stuff that they do as well. But I think it's coming up with something and sticking with it. It's really what's key. And it's really important to ask the questions. I talked about that whole thing. There was also a question about replay, which I'll talk about in a second. I think it's just really important that you're out there and actively working on this and actually having a process and not allowing. Here's another big factor. Not letting the client say, no, I don't want that. Just give me a price. And then you're like, okay, I'll give you a price. Here you go. Nope. Tough shit. Too bad. This is my process. Just imagine if you went to the doctor and you're like, just cut my tooth out. Just here. I know this is a cancerous mole. Just cut it out. I don't care. No, I don't need to sign anything. I don't need to give you my insurance. Just give me the damn scalpel. Here, just do it. Just give me the scalpel. What do? They'll laugh you out of the building. Start thinking the right way, guys. Okay, anything else, Jose?
No, that's it.
Okay, I am going to go through a couple things here. Let me just get rolling back on this. Okay, most MSPs sit here and tell me, I don't know how to sell. Actually, I get two things. I have MSPs that sit there and tell me, they're like, I know how to sell. I have 90% close rate, 95% close rate, 100% close rate. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're above 60%, Cindy, would you agree on that? If you're above 60% close rate, you're too cheap.
Yeah.
You're not selling high enough. You're not selling the right suite. You're not selling the right stack. And if you go through the numbers that Cindy just calculated with you guys, our average that we see come into this program, come onto this webinar, is $68 a seat. So is that number still very accurate based on what you saw recently?
Very accurate. Yes.
Yep. So $68 a seat. I don't care what you're selling. You should be converting over to a all-inclusive full stack now. At the very least, co-managed with cybersecurity first, and then letting the client handle tickets and help desk stuff and all that, the very least. So most MSPs come in and say, I know how to sell. One important key to success is self-confidence, and an important key to self-confidence is preparation. Having an actual sales process that has structure and the systemization to it. That structure creates that self-confidence that I just talked about, and self-confidence, period, closes deals, guys. Walking in the door saying, man, this is my process. This is my plan. I know exactly what I'm doing. This makes all the difference in the world. And remember this is something I kind of mentioned in the early stages. Using our 7-figure MSP Elite program, our elite clients are doubling their MRR in 12 months or less. So look at your current numbers, look at what your MRR is like, and think about that. I'm going to give you a couple examples here. We got a case study. A gentleman named Mark Enzor. Mark is in Tucson, Arizona. Mark started our elite program. Now, I understand he's a little bit larger, and this is one you can do, like if you heard Cindy mention earlier, when you got a lot of MRR, it's a much easier, faster path because you just got all these guys that you can go back to. He started our program about 2.5 years ago. He's currently sitting, actually, I think he's way higher than that now. I think that number's off. I think he's like 230. Cindy, do you know Mark's current numbers by any chance? He's like 230. I just saw him in Phoenix, and I know he was headed overseas, but
numbers are insane and very large. And the big takeaway about Mark, this is so funny, Chris. He didn't start with his installed base. He went out and started with all new customers because he was afraid to screw up his installed base. And then once he saw it working so well, then he went back and worked his installed base and just went to crazy town, man.
Yeah. So he's been killing it. So that's one way to double your MRR in 12 months or less. Here's another way. Now, in Brett's case, and good example with this, Mark is in Arizona in the United States. Pretty busy area, pretty popular. He also had a decent sized client base. Now we got Brett Gallant, who's an example. We just had a Canadian ask if this works in Canada. This works in Canada. Brett is a great example. Brett is in Miramichi, New Brunswick, Canada. He started our elite program. And in fact, I'm going to run some supercomputer numbers during this really quick here, just like Cindy does. I got my trusty supercomputer up here. So Brett had $22,000 of MRR, and he had 600 endpoints. This was his number when he came in, guys. That's what he came in at. Brett now sits here with 500 endpoints and 105,000 MRR. So I'm typing this in. That's where he sits now. Now, granted, that's Canadian, but it still doesn't matter. So in a 2-year period, coming up on almost 3 years, took Brett a while, but in a 2-year period, Brett went from 22K MRR to less seat counts and 105K. That's how you change a life, and that's how you solve all problems, because that amount of cash flow in your business, and in Miramichi, it's 18,000 people in this town. Not very many. So I'm going to tell you about our Inner Circle Elite coaching program. Keep in mind, if you are a smaller or newer MSP, please also pay attention, because we have an avenue for you also coming out of this call. So please make sure we're going to give you an opportunity to book a call coming out of this. But please pay attention, because we'll give you that up, and you book that same call if you want. So our Elite program is a complete sales and marketing coaching program to take your MSP to 7-figure years, months, quarters, deals, etc. You get our full double your MRR sales system. That's with Chris, Cindy, Ryan. I was on Onboarding Live today. You get Cindy Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We also have on top of that our weekly sales open office hours. Every single week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Anywhere in the world you are, we have times for you that'll make this work. All these calls are recorded, so you can be on them. We also have included with our coaching program our 7-figure MSP marketing machine with our head coach, Lindsay Badillo. Lindsay's absolutely fantastic. I don't know if you guys have seen her on the road with me. Her, and Ryan and Maria do our road shows. And then all of our team, including Cindy, is at our live events every quarter. But Lindsay does the full marketing machine. You have to graduate from sales to get into marketing machine, but it's full-blown marketing coaching as well, along with 3 weekly open office hours that Lindsay runs also. We also have templates included. So you get our full cybersecurity sales presentation. That's a PowerPoint. You also get our full cybersecurity sales proposal template. That is a Word doc. You also get our risk acceptance letter template that I talked about earlier. That is also a Word doc, all downloadable on day 1 in the program. Those are all there. You get our full master service agreement template and our full statement of work templates. Both are included, along with the incident response plan included. We also now have just added discounted access to our Ultimate MSP Contract Kit and a brand new, Jose, I don't know how much you're talking about this, but this is a big deal, weekly legal advice call with our in-house general counsel, Paige Taylor Bennett. That call was today at 2 p.m. Central, so literally an hour before this webinar. every single week now, we have a lawyer on staff that's asking or answering questions that are contract and risk and incident based, and she knows the MSP industry. So it's awesome. We also have all these process structure and tools included. So our full 7-figure MSP risk assessment system with a trial of the Talivi product and then a half 50% discount in the product as well. So instead of it being $500 a month, it's $250 a month, and you get to use it for the first 90 days for free. So it's a great example of that. You also get our full hiring machine with job descriptions and all that stuff included. You also get our full MSP CRM. You get our full smattering of all of our campaigns and email nurture and an MSP website all included with the program. So massive laundry list of stuff. So Chris, what's the next step here? You guys saw all the stuff that I include. Got this big stack of stuff here. All these things here, over $15,000 a month in value. My special offer for you guys today. Now you got to book a call. I got a little special, a fast action bonus for you guys. 12 months of our elite coaching program, retail price, and this is actually $3,500 a month if you want to do a month to month. So you can do a month to month, but it is $3,500 a month if you do a month to month. If you sign a 12-month, it is $2,000 per month. So it's a $24K investment. Again, here's all my included elite stuff that's there. So $15,000 a month in value. Just a legal advice call is worth $1,000 a month all by itself. If you work with us and book a call right now, and Jose, anybody that books a call in the next few minutes here, we're going to lock in your price. If you want to throw your link in the chat, I'm also going to do the strategy call link. I'm going to show it here on the screen. I'll give you a discount of $250 per month. So it's $1,750 per month. That'll save you about $3,000 annually. So that's a deal. And Jose is going to throw his link in the chat right there. We also have our strategy call link for you guys that we do. Here's a couple things. Chris, I don't know if this program is going to work for me. If you have any doubt, I'm nervous to commit. I think this is a scam. Is there a guarantee? I got a couple of guarantees for you guys. Here you go. Number one, just to prove I believe, me, Cindy, Ryan, the team, we believe so much in what we offer. We offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. A couple caveats on that. I'm not going to say that it's no strings attached because there are some strings. Those strings don't involve us. Those strings involve you. If you participate in all the work and attend all the calls in the first 90 days and you feel that you'll see no ROI, not worth it, won't work in my market, I will refund your money in full, no questions asked. Now, what I will say on this, Jose, you can attest to this, Cindy too, this has never been requested. Am I going to sit here and say everyone succeeds in the program? Nope. You know what I will say, though? Everyone that does the work succeeds in the program. It's that simple. Jose, any comments on that from you?
No, that's right. I mean, we're asking you to roll up the sleeves with us, and we'll roll up the sleeves with you. So,
and it's very, very successful. You get me, Cindy, Ryan live, Lindsay live, all that stuff. So that didn't work. So, meaning I didn't have anybody sign up for that ever. So I was like, okay, I'll just add another guarantee. So continuing how I believe so much in the program, if you participate in all the work and attend all the calls, do your first 3 CSRAs in the first 90 days, and you do not make at least your investment in additional MRR, I will write you a check for that amount. So again, if you come into the program and do the work, you're going to see the results, guys. Now, when you book your call with Jose, which we can do on this link right here, he also put his direct booking link in the chat for you guys that are out on our panel or are here live on the webinar. You guys got that. Anybody watching on the internet, on the recording, you can book your call here. You can pause this and screenshot this, book your call. This is how you get your $50 Amazon gift card. And this is how you can also, if you're a new MSP starting out, or if you're below 10K in MRR, we do have our 0 to 10K program. It's 0 to 10K.com, ZEROTO10K.com. If you want to check it out, you can also buy right there if you want to. That's available for you guys if you want. We have a lot of people in that program. We had 30 signups last week just on that program alone. So it really, really works great. It's a little bit more of a do-it-yourself course versus our elite program is all assisted expert level coaching for a little bit larger MSP and beyond. So really key stuff. And if you book your consult with our team from this webcast as an elite prospect, I will give you a $50 Amazon gift card just for completing the call. Now you have to mention the webcast. Jose's on, this is literally Jose. You get to meet with him, and you do need to complete your call to get the gift card. And we're going to give away a couple of prizes here in a minute. Jose, also caveat on that, they got to make sure that it's a real MSP email address and all those different things as they book. So don't book with your Gmail. It's not going to work. If you're from another country and you're going to try and scam it, it's not going to work. We're on top of it already. So, okay, so you can sign up right here, get your bonuses. I got 2 more things for you guys. We're going to do our prizes. Last thing, as promised, we had our CSRA guide. Here's where you get that. It's 7figuремsp.link/CSRA blueprint. Cindy, if you want to throw that in the chat for me, that would be amazing.
Yep.
I think Don here, I think Don just tagged me on the school program, but Don just said I'm in the program. I think I saw a school thing come through here while I was sitting here. Yep, there was Don.
He's in our 0 to 10K.
Yep, there's Don. He just tagged me on 0 to 10K. There you go, Don. That's good. So Don was in the program. I think Don, you can attest to the 0 to 10K program. I participate in that all the time. Jose's there. We got a good team. But that's where you get your CSRA blueprint. Blah blah blah. If you guys are there, there's your link for that are watching online as well. I guess that's pretty repetitive. Probably don't need it twice. All right, let's do our prizes. Got a stretch here. Cindy, you ready? Okay, here's how we get our prizes, guys. And Jose's going to pick 2. And if you win this, here's what you got to do. You have to put in to the chat your business MSP email address. And we're going to get you a gift card, okay? I think Mike McGee won this last week. So we got our first gift card is a $100 gift card. Second gift card is a $250 gift card. What is one thing that you learned today that you are actually going to execute on immediately? Throw your results in the chat. And again, you can only win this if you're live with us on the webcast. So what is one thing you learned that you will execute immediately? Okay, we got stuff coming in here. The role of the MSP is changing. I'm responsible for much more than being tech. I love that. This is from Bert. Cybersecurity risk is here to stay, and it's my role to establish. I love that. Dan, looking at the assessment. Austin. CSRAs are necessary from Dan. Jameson, Bill. Yeah, good comment, Jameson. Dan Adams, update the cyber insurance. Sean said CSRA. Mike said MSA, make it more solid. Abu said change mindset from tech to sales. For John Reed said assessment. Peter Job said always to the CSA. I'll always be prepared as this gives me a good structure, and the structure brings self-confidence. I love Jameson. You were actually listening to that last part. That's great, man. I love it. Update cybersecurity insurance. We're almost there, Jose. We got about a minute left here. I'll use legit companies like Talavi to do my CSRA. Sean Gannon said review all clients. Man, you guys are awesome. Don said don't skip the steps. Sean said MSA and SOW and SLA are necessary. Oh, okay. Sorry. Ira Maramba said asking the right questions to prospects. You guys are killing it. I love it. Okay, let's hear a drum roll, Cindy, for our $100 gift card winner.
Drum roll.
Jose, what you got, buddy?
Man, I like Jameson that, he has several, but the one is, going through the stuff, think like, things that a computer can't do for me. In short, always think like a hacker, not always trusting
that
software.
One here. Yep, I like that. I like that. Okay, so Jameson, congratulations. You won a $100 Amazon gift card. If you are out of the States, we can send you a PayPal deal. But do me a favor, put in the chat your business email. Jameson, put your business email in the chat, and we will get you that. Jose, you going to get that? Get that to Anne-Marie. Both these to Anne-Marie when we're done. Okay, buddy?
All right.
Next up is the $250 gift card. All right. What you got, Jose? I got to stretch again.
I like Brett Owens. Cybersecurity is here to stay. It's my role to establish the pattern of behavior of risk to protect my business. I also learned that consistency is the issue rather than the tool.
Ooh. Absolutely phenomenal answer, Brett Owens. Congratulations. You have won a $250 gift card, sir. Again, that is an Amazon gift card. If you're in the States, if you're in Canada, we will get you a Tim Hortons coffee gift card. That's it. Just kidding. Nobody laughs at my Canadian jokes. How about a maple syrup gift card? That's a win. Or maybe a Canucks gift card? Still wins. Okay. Bert put his email in there. Awesome. Jameson put his stuff in there as well. All right. Cindy, any takeaways from today?
Great crew, man. I love the takeaways that everybody had today. Really appreciate everyone being with us. Chris, I just thought it was a great day.
Yeah, really, really solid. Jose, any takeaways from you?
No, I mean, I joined a little bit late, but it's always just great to hear Cindy talk because every day it's a different nugget every day. I don't know how she does it, but it's awesome. Yeah.
Yep. Don't forget, guys, 7figuremspevents.com. Come see us live. Check out the 0 to 10K program. If you're below 10K, book your call with Jose. I'll be in Raleigh, March 21st, Raleigh, North Carolina. Come say hi. You're welcome to fly in Raleigh, spend the day with me. I'll be there. Ryan O'Hara will be there. Maria from our team will be there. And we're going to be at a Fleming Steakhouse. It's really good stuff, really good steaks. A little lava cake when we're done. So it's a good time. So, okay. For Cindy Phillips and Jose Harmula, my name is Chris Weiser. We'll see you guys soon. Go make some money. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Later, guys.